a lot of questions about this new Simplicity roster as we started out this year. But after that dominant victory on Team 12's map, Tomb of the Spider Queen, I gotta say, I'm hooked. Looked pretty good in Game 2, and we're all tied up as we get ready for Game 3. What?
You had one off stream earlier when you're talking about the Dragon Zero and all.
I don't even remember it.
I don't either.
That's just how many puns I draw.
She just writes them down, scribbles through. Yes,
yeah.
no.
Used.
Kind of worked last week. Reformed this week.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's all about the puns for me.
Half her notebook is just scribbles. Yeah, I mean, I really talked this team up, last week despite going 1-1. I really feel like the way that they're playing and creating opportunities is a little bit different than the way other teams are doing it. They couldn't find them in Dragonshire in our Game 1, but that really went towards the way Team 12 played. And when we got to Tomb of the Spider Queen, you can't exactly hide from those moments the way that Simplicity was able to bring those out. So I think that definitely fit their style. And I almost wonder if we'll see Team 12 take map pick and maybe play a little bit safer map this go around.
Let's see what the map is. In fact, it is Battlefield of Eternity, which generally has been a choice for Team 12 before, but we expected that Simplicity wouldn't shy away from it either. And I think that was one of the most compelling things about Simplicity in the last game, is they knew what they needed to do, and they never shied away. They never backed down. They were aggressive even when there were web weavers pushing against them many times. One time, Airho got caught with an Entomb, but he came back, and they went for the flank again. Another time, the web weaver up in the top. They knew what they needed to do to win. They relied on their strengths. We know they're working on their macro. Caf said, in general, that hasn't been a strength for those players in the past. They're working on that, but they're using what is already good for them to get a win versus Team 12.
Yeah, and they find one way to make sure avoid a lot of macro decisions. Battlefield of Eternity does have some of its own, but a two-lane battleground with the Arena of Death there in the middle. So I think this is one thing. We have seen some new priorities when it comes to the camps now that the Immortals spawn at 3 minutes in. We've seen the priority on the Shaman camp to try and push during that first objective phase. All the old Zuna days that I remember, because normally that would be after the first Immortal phase, he would always try and find a way to invade. Now with the changes, now that it's 3 minutes in and those spawn far earlier, I wonder if he still has some old tricks up his sleeve and if their composition will allow that style. So that, to me, will be very telling in the first few minutes.
Also, depending on if we have fort trades, which we've seen sometimes before that first Immortal phase, since there is more time, now the 10 spike comes in around the end of the first phase, and we've seen teams take advantage of that in a big way and take a keep off of that and set their opponents massively behind in this game. So it's really important that if this is a place where Simplicity feels like they can get a second win over Team 12, that they make sure that they have the aggression to do that.
So right now, Team 12 opted for first pick. I doubt this will be Hanzo or Genji because I think they're going to want Simplicity to ban out one or the other and then pick one of those up. But it's up to Simplicity. If you're expecting the other team to pick Genji, or excuse me, Hanzo, do you ban out Tassadar? There's a weird thing. Hanzo's going to be banned out there. I think if Simplicity bans Genji here, look for Team 12 to go Greymane. I think this is kind of the mind game as we hit the first bans nowadays.
Yeah, Simplicity hasn't been too much of a Genji team. In fact, they have not played any Genji so far. So for them, Hanzo seems to be way more of a priority. Not being able to get that, they're just going to make sure that they take out the other Shimada brother. They are Null and Void, but it does leave open Greymane. Leaves open ETC. Hasn't been a favorite for Team 12 yet in this series. It has been in the past for Justing.
Greymane is open. I would say that if they want to, we saw them play Lunara. They had it more on the back end of the draft. We saw Uther last game. However, that was a secondary support Uther. So I think that there are some counterplays that they could be made if they did want to go down the potential Tychus route. We know the double warrior is very prominent for Simplicity.
They also really like Li Ming, but I didn't think it'd be first pick.
Because I mean, they have 3 picks before second ban. Right. I did not expect it to be that early.
Well, Simplicity also has been playing more mages. Maybe they thought it does go to show that it's even more of a priority for them than Greymane here. They feel like they can fill in that damage otherwise, and the poke damage, the reset ability is so important for Dansky. And Dansky had a phenomenal Li Ming. Don't forget, this game, Team 12 rocked Tempo Storm. They were so good with that. They have other options for Cure. There's not something that's as important, but what is important is that Dansky gets his Li Ming.
So Gray main ETC, great combination. You know, this is, if you go back to some of the other days of Lagif, they have run an Abathur on this map. They've also run an Abathur Zagara. I doubt we're going to see that ever again. But they have run an Abathur, and Abathur's been banned out against them multiple times, especially when we talk about that enabling the Zuna Gray main, and if we see Hosty go over to the Abathur. And with the way the changes are set up, that is a potential here for Simplicity.
I just don't know if I like it.
I don't like
Simplicity. I want them to be way more aggressive earlier on. But maybe. Hosty is a good Abathur player. It just doesn't really feel like it's what Simplicity should be focusing on here.
Yeah, I think that their greatest strength is to have the most bodies, to be aggressive in the early game. We saw them in Dragon Shower not able to execute to get that early game, but the minute they hit the 10, just about a quarter level before Team 12 in that last game, they exploded that game and took control of the pace. Tyrael Malfurion picked up here against Simplicity.
Justin had some of the best NA syncs I've ever seen that game. I will keep talking about Team 12 last game on Battlefield of Eternity probably for the rest of the part. It was that good of a game for Team 12. It was insanely good. So I don't mind that Tyrael pick at all. This is not the reworked Tyrael just yet. We're still looking at Holy Ground on 16. I think that's coming in next week, potentially.
I was going to say, you're brave enough to talk about when the next patch notes are coming in. I just...
Only because I heard Trick talk about it earlier.
Was he also talking about Lava Wave?
They always...
And Murky?
Will bring up... It's like you and Zagara. It's not a day at the HGC.
I haven't brought it up.
Doesn't talk about Zagara.
I haven't brought it up once.
You just did.
No, I brought up Lag of Zagara. Because, you know, they did that.
Maltheo ban. No surprise there.
Yeah, Malthael, obviously strong hero, and that puts Urho back onto that role of Leoric Dahaka. I'd actually like to see him move more towards an Arthas role. If he is going to play that style, and you take away the assassin part of that, I would love to see him go more into the Arthas for himself since they took Malthael away. Obviously from Team 12, they've got something in their head in terms of what they want to do.
Well, seems like Team 12 leaning toward being able to blow somebody up. They have Tyrael, they have Malfurion's Twilight Dream, they have the Li Ming for resets, and they don't want Tassadar to get in the way of that. Though it is curious to see Tassadar banned, even with Hanzo being banned too. So where is Airho going? Where is K1 Pro going? And Hosty Zuna.
I think they're gonna. We saw them in week 1 just completely deny.
There you go.
They got the Arthas. Completely deny pick. I was gonna say Karazim. I was gonna say they highly prioritized his support late. And I was gonna say maybe a Karazim here. It fits to the battleground. It fits to their playstyle. They have the double warrior frontline. You get really good AoE heals against this composition. You have the dive potential. You have the kind of stand and trade potential, I think, with this. So the Karazim pickup I like a lot for them. It's just a matter of who's that damage dealer going to be when it comes, unless they do go Abathur. And I think that really depends on what Team 12 goes here. If not, maybe a Falstad.
If they go Abathur, it is a great composition with it. They have set themselves up very well to have that Abathur, and you know there's options between Arthas and Greymane. There's a lot of hat targets too. But we'll see if they want to go for that. Team 12 though.
Tychus. Just keep it standard. Rip through those health bars of ETC Arthas.
Yeah, I don't see. You know, we saw Vala from them last game. It was ooh, they're gonna triple tank.
Oh, you got melee?
Hello?
I got melee.
Ooh. Now they have the flexibility to do this because Cure, when playing for Team Freedom, had swapped over to that melee assassin, melee flex role. So they do have the way of being able to do this. Jayhow even talked about on Braxis Holdout running the double melee assassin style, being able to have Cure flex over to that.
Okay, so if you're Simplicity, I'm really wondering if we might get a leap or a haymaker this game, maybe even both. But Tychus, Lunara are appealing, but do you need somebody with a little bit more sustainability? Do we see the double support again? Karazim's not a bad second support because he does have a little bit of power in those Iron Fists. So if they do go, we could get Uther again.
Or somebody with percent damage. Greymane gets it, but not until 16. There's Tychus. There's Falstad as a global. Maybe he? Tychus? Yeah, Tychus seems more of the... He's definitely more in the meta.
Relentless Soldier is going to be huge for him to make sure and have at level 7 for the potential dive there. And then Karazim will have his hands full to keep that team alive, depending on how aggressive we see Simplicity. But this is a lot of melee in one team. We have
both of them.
3 on the side of Team 12, 3 on the side, potentially 4, depending on how Greymane goes in on the side of Simplicity.
Prepare to battle, friends.
It's just like
I love it.
It's like a wrestling ring. You just get the biggest dudes, throw them in the middle, and let them go.
That's what happens when you go to Battlefield of Eternity: Arena of Death. What do you think about triple tank? It's rare that we get triple warrior.
Yep.
Usually on Dragonshire. We saw it a lot in 2015. It eventually went there for China first, and then Korea was playing it there sometimes too. But here in Battlefield of Eternity,
I'm not as sold on it. I think against most other opponents, they wouldn't go this route. I think going against Simplicity and the way Simplicity plays and the way that they draft, this is more of a rare case scenario that we're going to see it. I don't think it's anything that will be a widespread meta. It never really has been, but I think here it's more situational. And as you said, Cure with the experience there, Goku and Justine, he can join right alongside there. How practice a triple melee, triple warrior setup is, I don't know. That'll be more telling than anything.
Yeah.
You can play the heroes individually well, but the team has to function around it.
Yeah, that's true. Gale Force has been playing it. We'll see how Team 12 can do. Let's get into it. Battlefield of Eternity in the tied series between Team 12 and Simplicity. See you there.
Wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah.
Li Ming on one side, Tychus and Greymane on the other. You know, I'm very happy that we see Urho on the Arthas pick. I think that definitely suits his playstyle, it fits the team's playstyle, and it fits the battleground well. I'm glad we see them in this direction. I just don't think that they were expecting Triple Warrior to show up on the other side.
No, but with so much Warrior and so many people trying to get in and get on top of Simplicity, the slows, the auto attack slows from Arthas are going to prove valuable as long as K1 Pro can try to keep this team alive.
I think with Tychus there, if it was any other hero, maybe a little bit squishier hero, maybe we might get a leap. But I think this one, the way it's set up, you know, the Relentless Soldier possibility for Tychus, Greymane, the Palm, I think it's really going to be just how you can sustain, of course, getting that Wrath if you do get into the race onto the Immortal does help as well. But Haymaker has to be considered here, right?
I would think so. I think Justine has maybe played it once or twice, if I'm remembering correctly. I want to talk about Zuna's Greymane build because it's enough of a change-up. Not seeing the cocktail build, instead more of an auto attack focus, but also inner beast focus. There's a couple of different inner beast talents you can pick at this level, but seeing viciousness, which increases the duration to 4 seconds and allows ability damage to refresh, shows that he understands that there's going to be a lot of people diving in. He is going to want to make sure that he can keep that inner beast up. It's really important to him to be able to do that for the Immortal race too. And so for that, just giving him some other options to ensure that he can keep that inner beast up thanks to the ability damage and the increased duration.
My assessment would be, would Simplicity hard engage on these? Tyrael willing to die for this. Zuna taking the death damage, and he's alive for now, but this is a heavily contested minute-and-a-half Impaler camp.
And he disengaged out of an orb and out of a Stormbolt. Now Goku's there too. Everyone from Simplicity survives with just the single kill in favor of Simplicity, though they lose the camp.
It really feels like Team 12 is challenging Simplicity. Oh my goodness, Justine.
There's
Dwarf
the
Toss
challenge.
is out, but Zuna goes in to confirm the kill. But my assessment was Simplicity, would they invade early against a generally squishier drafting team or a more standard meta? Team 12 wiped that board clean, but they're getting punished. That's 2 kills already for Simplicity.
That was a fast follow-up to that power slide, too. We got the Dwarf Toss, didn't matter. He was, Cap was still in position to give them the edge and the kill. Later on, that'll get easier, you know. Team 12 are gonna start to really stack up in the health department. These triple warriors, when you look at Sonya, 16 and 20, having those big defense talents. Same thing for Muradin, 13, having the healing static. But right now, this is a place where Simplicity can get some pretty easy picks on those warriors. Team 12 needs to recognize this.
You know, when you go against that many melee, that viciousness talent at level 1, I mean, it's going to be easy to land that. Now we see the cocktail going in at level 4 for Greymane, and also level 4. We see Muradin holding his talent. Is there a possibility
for Sledgehammer?
The big Sledgehammer coming in.
They feel like they need it for the race.
I mean, who really wins this race?
Oh, not Airho. He's slowing down. He's slow himself. It was an unfair race. There was a lot more Team 12 there than it was for Airho, but Simplicity are going to do what they can to at least get the Immortal down. A big chunk of damage done to that by the time that Team 12 comes in. Kier going in for the body blocks, low on mana, low on health as K1 Pro dives back in on him. He's going to get rooted though, and that's a big hit from the Orb, and the Archangel's Wrath takes out K1 Pro. Now King Caffeine is caught.
The body block. When you got a lot of warriors, that's a really big hitbox, and it's kind of hard to path through there. Team 12 turns their attention over to the Immortal. The rest of Simplicity gonna try and clear out as well. They still have Greymane, but he is in the bottom, 1v1 against Sonya. Still a little bit of a lead for Simplicity, up to Team 12 to defend one more time.
It's been a good old-fashioned throwdown on Battlefield of Eternity, as expected with these compositions. And now they're going in, throwing down on Justin. He dwarf tosses over the rock, so Simplicity will happily take the rest of this Immortal and get the first phase done. Though, with all the damage Team 12 did with the kills and going back, it's not too awfully shielded, and they'll get to 7 first.
So, Gilly, I want to talk about the elephant in the room here is the triple melee, triple warrior on the side of Team 12, and Cure formerly being that melee. I don't remember him playing a lot of Tyrael, though. And
I don't either.
That last Tyrael engagement was a bit rough. Again, it's not the individual, it's how the team plays around it. And that initial part of the engage looked a little bit rough around the edges. And I think we're going to have to expect maybe a little bit more coordination for that style of play.
Now, there's a lot more Leoric, a lot more Sonya play, and Dahaka for Cure. But the big deal is, if Sanctification is the choice, then the right Sanctification. Justin just takes so much damage from every time Simplicity goes in with these 2 damage dealers, and K1 Pro adding to it. This is going to be a fort down in favor of Simplicity, and though Team 12 slightly ahead at the start of that phase and experience, it's Simplicity who walks away with the fort win.
This is the new Simplicity I'm talking about, where they always are now quick to rotate off. They instantly rotate it down. They're going to force a response out of Team 12. They're continuing to keep up the pace, the pressure onto Team 12. This is a different style that we noted last week. And I want to note again is that their instant rotation down. They're hiding in the bush here. Sonya's top lane. They have an advantage, and this is what they're used to setting up in this new style.
Howling Blast dodged by Justin as he dwarf tosses over first. You know, we talked about having a giant killer hero as that last pick for Simplicity, but K1 Pro can add to that too if he wants to go more into a 7-sided strike. Do you anticipate that? We've seen a lot more Palm from our Carzine players.
I'm hoping it's Palm. It seems like they've got a lot of survivability. We didn't see Relentless Soldier, however, on the side of Tychus. It does give him that extra range, so he can play a little bit safer to hit that. I was a bit surprised that we don't see that. However, when we get to 16, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Titan Grenade, which gives you that % base damage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no Relentless Soldier is somewhat scary. Great dodge.
That's Sonya top. Yeah.
And Sonya gets ganked in the top lane. That gets Simplicity even more of a lead. They're trying to get to heroic abilities. They're starting to go down, collapsing in on Team 12 in this bottom lane. Hoping that they can catch someone before.
Oh, nice.
That was really good. Really good.
But we've got minions that will be right here, willingly giving 10. Actually, Arthas will get that up top. They'll get 10, and they'll have it about a half level before. It's on a neutral side. So Greymane on the backside will be able to race that. 4 members of Simplicity will try and defend in the meantime.
Yeah, they're going to soak up some of the skill shots from Li Ming. We might have seen them just otherwise try to race this first phase out, but in the instance where they have 10 so far ahead of Team 12, they feel more comfortable to be able to soak up some of those shots and defend at the same time as getting the halfway point, which they get as Karzim goes back and helps out with the Greymane. Now Heroic's here. Haymaker is the pick for Justing.
I don't like this call from Simplicity in the sense that they're getting a camp. They're going to be a little bit late. They're going to give up more of the shielding. So let's hope they get more out of that. If they do get the Immortal, they'll have that camp to push with it. But that camp will have to be responded to. The thing is that Team 12 can fall into a defensive positioning pretty easily because it's right there beside them.
Yes.
But we've got to fight first, Gilly, as Odin is out. That should help siege up here. Urho got rooted for the moment, but Goku flanking on the left, trying to find an opportunity.
Yeah, Urho had to use Iceborne Fortitude to ensure that he didn't take any more damage from that. Stun lock possibility. Looks like the focus is going to be Zuna. Watch out for the Haymaker. Remember, this is Haymaker, so Cap doing his best to make sure that these can't get on the backline behind Zuna and knock him in for a quick kill.
That camp should be responded to now. Sonya finally peeling down. Greymane had Tap trying to re-engage. He was low on health and mana. Look for Simplicity to try and siege back up here. Right now, it's just a standoff. Who's going to flinch first? And right there, King Caffeine ate a huge combo.
Yeah, lots of damage from Dansky. Puts him down at about half health. As Simplicity will rotate back on up. They still see Sonya in the bottom. They just can't break this line, this wall of still having double tank. Especially with Sanctification still being up. And Haymaker threat for the backline.
Zuna getting caught way far out there, but Stage Dive's going to come in. Justing on the front
Split.
side. So are Cure. The slide is in.
Excellently done.
Hit a big orb there.
That split was so well done with the Stage Dive. There's no avatar to keep alive Murden when he gets caught like that with so much damage. In the split, the separate, the face melt after that Stage Dive, the rest were able to soak damage while they took out Murden, and that is the end of this Immortal phase. Pretty well shielded Immortal this time, claimed by Simplicity.
Well, they saw the camp was still active. Yeah, you can see that on the mini-map, and ended up getting leashed there. Finding nobody home when they get there, but they do have a very healthy Immortal, and I talk about this all the time, the siege and anti-siege potential. When you are in this many melee and their shield still up, the Immortal stays in range. And Li Ming, as strong as she is, doesn't necessarily have great damage on the Immortal. So Team 12 might look to try and engage behind this.
Oh wow, not if they lose Tyrael that fast.
That's rough. This could snowball into not only a keep wall, but a keep here. And if Simplicity keeps rolling these kills in, Gilly, might be more.
And there was no Sanctification to be had there. It had been used earlier, wasn't able to save Justing from that too. They're gonna hold down Justing down on this point. Can he get out alive? No, he cannot, but the Twilight Dream is just perfect, and now Dansky trying to wreck through all the rest of Simplicity. They'll pop the palm, but Dansky still going after K1 Pro, trading back and forth. K1 Pro using his punches. Now Dansky separated from the rest, goes in, takes out K1 Pro. Dansky is a legend on this Li Ming.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Dansky just lit that team up. I mean, credit to Buds for landing the roots and the Twilight Dream, but Dansky, my God.
You first pick Li Ming, you better have a good Li Ming player. Team 12 proves that they do. They definitely do. Yeah, let's watch that again. The Dansky show.
The Justing lockdown here is actually really good to keep him in there. But here comes the big combo. There's one, there's two. Procs the palm, but K1 Pro thought he could trade here, but the minute Calamity's back up, the rest of the team, he actually eats this. Yeah.
Oh, he just draws him into the choke, so he has to go through, guarantees get the hit on the orb. Quick Calamity to follow up. That is a phenomenal Li Ming player. Yo, Simplicity, all right. They did get the Immortal, they lose a fort, did not get the keep, but got some damage there. But important for Team 12, we're back in business.
We're back in business, and you know, generally in those situations, you know, the high probability of something crazy breaking out when both teams, they have to, Simplicity wanted to try and get a kill. Team 12 just wanted to save their keep. They had clashing mentalities, worked out for Team 12, but they had a ton of experience from all of that coming back there, now evened it up. Still have their keep. We're still in the game.
Camps being prioritized as the Immortals are spawning in 15 seconds. We are dead even in Game 3 between Team 12 and Simplicity. Simplicity head back out into the arena of death. Simplicity has been doing an awesome job of keeping control of Justing. The Haymaker opportunities just have not been there because the damage dealers are doing a great job of making sure he can't get the quick throw from the Haymaker, and then the frontliners are locking him down and turning on him in an instant. So we're seeing Justing play a little safer right now.
This is a similar standoff. Both teams have elected to defend. We actually see on the minimap, Greymane is going to start the camp up top, but Uro needs to stay alive here in the meantime.
Slowly picking up that camp.
Yeah, that'll help at least turn the tides. It puts Team 12 on a little bit more of a clock to defend.
But Sonya, in that defensive position, is able to just go down and take out the fort. Which evens out in the structures, too, for Team 12.
It does. Looks like we've got some movement here as Greymane continuing to clear in the top lane. He'll rotate down in defense. Remember, Li Ming does have some of the best poke in the game. Does not have the mirror ball at 16 yet, which really helps ramp up the damage. So look for a fight eventually, but Sonya has split off, ETC has split off. One of them has a global. This map is small. I think ETC is coming in now to try and turn this.
Yeah, no one has this guaranteed 16 yet, but Simplicity want to get on this Dansky if they can. Get rid of the Li Ming, get her out of the fight because she is the big deal. Take her out and you take down Team 12. Dansky really good, but now Kier in danger. He got knocked out of being able to use Sanctification, so he couldn't keep himself alive from that. And the flanking with the stage dive, air hoe, and King Caffeine, that strong front line once again working out beautifully, just like in the last game.
Tower of the Global definitely working out there. Zuna almost got the kill on that backside, which really would have opened things up. But Li Ming looking to get a few more resets. K1 does have a jump over, just escapes. But they send us to the halftime show for now, and Team 12 is still pressing forward.
Yeah, as long as they have an option for Twilight Dream and then Dansky to do the same thing he did before, they're still in this, even without Tyrael. And when Tyrael comes back, he has Sanctification. But 16 is here for Simplicity. Finish Prog Rock 2 and get back in. Everything but Palm was used for Simplicity. It's really important that if Dansky starts to open up, oh, there's the Haymaker, starts to open up, that the Palm is there to stop those resets.
Going way up 100 Fist, not cleansing touch here, so a little bit more damage if K1 Pro gets involved. You can see Bud's doing a lot to keep his team alive. Goku turning the fight there. Urho with the self-heal. Goku not able to do much more, but the poke coming in from Simplicity. We're 15 seconds away from Odin. Look for him to try and siege up and finish this off.
All right, Zuna in that positioning. After 16, Holy Ground, you are going to get locked in, my friend, but for now, it's A-OK. Justing again, separated from the rest of the team. There's some roots there. The Twilight Dream goes down. ETC might be the target. Sanctification, too, enabling the rest of Team 12 as they take down ETC. Here goes Dansky again. He takes out 2 and is looking for that Odin kill with the Holy Ground now online.
K1 Pro peppering in on that backside, puts the palm onto Hosty, does not proc. He's going to go down. K1 Pro doing anything to get some damage out, but he is just going to delay the inevitable, sitting at 2,500 damage, unable to finish it, and Team 12 fought their way back into this. They'll get their first Immortal of the game.
Having all of the tanks really starting to work out in Team 12's favor. It was a rough go of the early game with Simplicity, but now setting up Dansky and setting up Buds for Twilight Dream and the Dansky follow-up. And with a good Sanctification and just the strong front line of Team 12, they are going to get their first Immortal. And thanks to that focus of Goku, making sure that he took out the fort during the beginning of that phase, they're going to get a chance to work on a keep.
Good opportunity for Team 12, but Simplicity, knowing their play style, could just as easily try and dive behind. Justin coming in from a very flanking position, making sure to hide from those minions. He might try, I was going to say, Hosty better be careful because he could get the jump in. He went the extra Dwarf Toss range, by the way. Get that Dwarf Toss in, Haymaker somebody back into them.
The Holy Ground on the gate. No shielding left on the Immortal. Simplicity did get a lot of damage done for it earlier on. Goku's gonna go in. Airho takes a bunch of damage as the orb comes into the face. Uses Army of the Dead.
Good root there.
Great root.
They're gonna hold on to this keep, losing about half of it. Extra movement speed and the dwarf toss out. Keep Team 12 alive.
Yeah, Simplicity are hoping that they could catch somebody on the retreat. They're not going to get that, so start the mercenary camp rotations, as you so often see in between the objective phases. But Team 12 has taken a lead in this game for the first time. They've been able to wipe Simplicity, get a lot of kills from that. Things are looking good for them. Oh, especially if they can catch Zuna here.
They tried to catch him with the root in return. The haymaker onto Urho, but the stage dive's going to come in. Directly under that is the sanctification, keeping Justine alive, but the power slide over is going to take down Murd, and Goku on the backside. Urho goes down.
He used Vision for a long time, though, to stay alive. Twilight Dream obliterates ETC, making it a 2-for-2. Zuna, K1 Pro, and Hosty still chasing down. Cure has no sanctification. He's going to do everything he can in his power to keep alive Dainsky and Buds, and using Holy Grounds to stop Simplicity. Simplicity were still very healthy, and Cure and the rest of Team 12 sort of running out of resources there. Airho going down in the bottom, delaying as long as he did, that was everything. And then back to the control over Justing.
The call here from Simplicity, to take the fight previously and to look for a fight now. They have to do this because 20 is so close. Team 12 known for playing these late games. So they're trying to go in, Wave of Force, knocking it back. K1 Pro doing a lot of damage, but not able to confirm the kill. Gets the heal in. Simplicity is on a very short clock. With this, they can potentially defend against one more Immortal, maybe lose a keep, but they recognize that their opportunities are going to be fewer and fewer with that 20 tier approaching for Team 12.
Yeah, they really just had one chance of being able to get a kill there because the respawn timers were going to favor Team 12 because it was all the way on Team 12 side of the map. So Simplicity not getting that. Regroup with the rest of the team with their front line. Arrow takes another Orb of the Face, set up nicely by that Holy Ground.
Set up nicely. King Caffeine playing on that front line. Gets the slide over, but the Holy Ground is there. Caffeine eating so much damage. No palm in time. And that is King Caffeine going down. Urho, palms there, maybe a little bit early, especially with Army already out, Gilly.
Yeah, that's going to be problematic. Sanctification now too, but Simplicity had sort of run back, but it does help in case the stuns came out from the Immortal. And with Team 12 already getting that first kill on ETC, they are just going to try to take out, if they can, the rest of the damage. But having K1 Pro and Zuna still up, they are going to come down and defend, and with the Twilight Dream take out Arthas.
If somebody's going to die, you just die quickly. K1 Pro should be fine. Zuna going to give him chase for the moment. Oh my, that was so close. I just held my breath there for a second. If there's one person that can pull that off, it's Greymane. And Zuna almost got that. You saw a little bit of health come back there at the end because of dominance.
Yeah.
But that was a lot closer, I think, than we realized.
Yeah, I just wanted to watch that play out. But Team 12 made it not a fair fight, not a fair 1v1, bringing in Justing in the end. They keep Sleeming alive and gives Team 12 30 seconds until Greymane's back. Simplicity whittling down the health bar of the Immortal and trying to make sure that they can soak. That top lane is pretty far pushed. And that's the difficulty on two-lane Battleground when you get behind and you need that experience to catch back up in talent tiers.
I think the best thing that happened there for Simplicity was that they were able to delay that a tiny bit. They're whittling away a tiny bit at the shields as well. But with that being said, it bought time for Odin and things like that to come back. Now you'll have that as a defensive tool. It's basically your last resort. I doubt they're going to have 20. No big red button is going to be here. The shield is about halfway. Team 12 will look to end with this, getting a keep, minimum value, ending game, maximum value. See what they can do with it.
Yeah, they have Sanctification and Holy Arena ready for that damage increase. Let's see when they choose to use it. If Simplicity can force it out before Team 12 would get on the core with it. Halfway to 20 and climbing our Simplicity. The Immortal gets in, the towers are already down, and the gate falls. Odin
falls, yeah. Odin is out. This is their best defensive tool. They're going to try and hold. Goku and team trying to come forward as well, seeing if they can get a kill. The keep is inevitable, but can they get more? The stun there on the front side, the Holy Ground into the Twilight Dream. That is 3 members just deleted from the game. Simplicity stepped way too far forward there, Gilly.
Well, that's the problem. They have so many melees. Everyone has so many melees trying to defend versus the Immortal. And suddenly, where a keep was a guarantee, now the core is a guarantee. Team 12, with 23 kills to 10, wins game 3 versus Simplicity.
I mean, at one point, Simplicity was up in kills.
Yep.
And then a little bit of chaos broke out.
Then Dansky happened.
Dansky broke
Dansky
out.
buds.
Dansky, 11 kills that game. That'll help your stats a little bit.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what the stats are like after this weekend in that game. My goodness. He was insane that game.
I mean, Buds, again, a key component. Everything about Team 12 is a team effort, but that route there, when they thought they had Justin, that one fight really just blew that wide open, because that was an Immortal pushing for Simplicity, potentially for keep. And then after that moment, it was all Team 12 for the rest of the game.
To put that reliability in one player, to know and say, we're going to play this triple warrior. We have Sonya. She does a lot of great damage too, of course. But to first pick Li Ming on Battlefield of Eternity, give up the Greymane, and then say, we got to go into this triple warrior, this strong front line. We're going to have Sonya to help out, but we're relying on you to follow up, hit those skill shots, and be able to get the resets and the kills. We'll help you get the resets, but we need you to be hitting your skill shots. And then Dansky to deliver. That is what it's about for Team 12, that trust and reliability that they can do that. Playmaking ability for every single member on that team.
Cure included. It looked a little weird early, but he was kind of the main component. We actually have a replay of that final fight where Cure actually helped to initiate. He's got to be screaming. We can just pause here for a moment, see if we can get this going. We'll roll it forward here, as we do have to get this going just a little bit before we see the play from Cure. But the main part, Gilly, is going to be the bottom right part of the keep. You see where K1 Pro is positioned?
Yes.
Right there is going to be where everything kind of takes place. As Urho, he goes in, that stun, and Cure instantly goes in. If that stun doesn't happen, you imagine that call right there is actually the call on to K1 Pro. The rest of the team kind of came around. If K1 Pro doesn't get stunned there, Cure might not look for that opportunity. And I really think that was the main thing, because I saw the stun come in, and then as the rest of Simplicity came in to help there, it looked even better, because you're trying to lock one in. Generally, you can get that one kill, especially on the support, and snowball that.
Yeah, one kill would have been nice.
They ended up finding 3 members there.
Yeah.
The Twilight Dream that came in from Buds just kind of sealed the deal, and Dansky just cleans up from there.
Dansky delivered. Game 4 is about to start. Let's see where it'll take place.